Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Behind the Bulletin. Today, we invite you to dive with us into a story so unexpected, so electrifying, that it's sending shockwaves across all of Asia. A revelation that no one, fans, reporters, even industry insiders, saw coming. Breaking news: Hyo-joo shocks the entire continent with a surprise marriage announcement at the age of 38, and you won't believe who the groom is. What happened? How did this secret stay hidden? And why is the internet exploding right now? Join us as we uncover every astonishing detail. Let's get started, right now. Hyo-joo shocks Asia with surprise marriage at 38, you won't believe who the groom is. No one in the entertainment world was prepared for the moment Asia stopped breathing. It was just past midnight in Seoul when the first alert hit social media, a vague, almost unbelievable headline claiming that Hyo-joo, loved actress known for her elegance, mystery, and fiercely private life, had announced her marriage. At first, fans dismissed it as another baseless rumor, the kind that swirled around celebrities every week. But within minutes, the truth began to crystallize, and the shock that followed spread like wildfire. Every news outlet scrambled. Journalists were calling their editors in a panic. Fan communities crashed from overwhelming traffic. The entertainment companies, usually quick to deny false reports, went silent. Something was different this time, something real. And when Hyo-joo's agency posted a single message confirming the news, the entire continent erupted. Marriage. Her decision. Her groom. It was all real. But the real earthquake wasn't the marriage itself, it was the identity of the man she had chosen. A man whose name triggered disbelief, outrage, confusion, and curiosity all at once. A man no one could have imagined standing beside her on a wedding altar. But before that revelation detonated across Asia, the world looked back, desperately trying to trace the clues everyone had missed. For years, Hyo-joo had been the epitome of control. No scandals. No public romances. No accidental sightings with mysterious companions. Every appearance felt polished, almost flawless, as though she lived behind an invisible curtain that no paparazzi could pierce. On set, colleagues described her as warm but guarded. In interviews, she would smile, answer gently, and reveal almost nothing. She was a star whose life seemed to exist only on screen, which is why everything that followed felt unreal. First whisper came from a staff member on the filming set of her latest project. According to them, Hyo-joo had been different for months, more distracted, more anxious, more cautious. She checked her phone more often, slipped away between takes, and sometimes returned with her eyes slightly red. She'd been crying or overwhelmed. At the time, no one dared ask why. She was the veteran, the senior, the untouchable figure everyone respected from a distance. Then came the leaks. Grainy photos taken in back alleys of Seoul, showing a woman who looked uncannily like Hyo-joo stepping into an unmarked car. Another picture surfaced of her walking quietly through a side entrance of a building late at night. Fans debated endlessly, was it her? Was it a double? Was it even recent? But none of them guessed the truth. The truth was that Hyo-joo had been living under the weight of a secret, a relationship hidden so carefully, so deeply, that even those closest to her never suspected. A relationship that began in the least expected place, not at a film set, not at a glamorous party, not through industry connections, but somewhere far more dangerous, far more fragile. Months before the announcement, she had disappeared from the public eye for several days. Her agency claimed she had fallen ill, but insiders later whispered a different story, that she had traveled in secret, crossing borders with no entourage, meeting someone whose identity the agency refused to acknowledge. That was when everything began to change. That was when she began to look over her shoulder. That was when she stopped being able to hide the fear in her eyes. Fans remembered a particular interview she gave shortly after returning, when the host likely teased her about marriage. Hyo-joo laughed, but instead of her usual confident smile, she looked startled, almost vulnerable. "I think life surprises us," she said, almost whispering. At the time, people saw it as a philosophical answer. Now it felt like a confession. Then came the night the world will never forget. A sudden post appeared on her official account, a long letter written in trembling words, announcing that she was getting married. No countdown. No romantic photos. raw emotion dripping between the lines. She thanked the fans who had loved her for so many years, apologized for the suddenness, and described her groom as someone who protected her in ways no one else ever had. A man she had met in a moment of chaos. A man who risked everything for her. The world froze. In seconds, thousands of comments poured in. How long had they been together? Why the secrecy? Why the suddenness? And why did her letter sound less like a joyful announcement and more like a desperate release? And then, just when the speculation reached its highest point, the identity of the groom was leaked, first by a journalist, then confirmed by an insider, and finally acknowledged by the agency when they realized there was no way back. The groom was not an actor, not a businessman, not a director, not a childhood friend, not a secret Jebel heir, and not anyone the public had ever placed on the list of possibilities. He was someone whose connection to Hyo-joo had been forged in the most unexpected, dangerous chapter of her life. Asia braced itself for the full truth. The storm was only just beginning. The moment the groom's identity surfaced, Asia didn't just react, it detonated. Internet split open under the weight of disbelief. Comment sections flooded like broken dams. Search engines froze. Newsrooms stayed awake until dawn. Fans reread the announcement again and again, trying to convince themselves it wasn't real. Because Hyo-joo's groom was a man no one could have predicted. He wasn't a celebrity. He wasn't a CEO. He wasn't a politician, a producer. Anyone who belonged to the gilded world of fame. He was a former security specialist who once saved her life. A man whose existence had only been whispered about in the darkest corners of behind-the-scenes stories. A man who had appeared during an incident that her agency had tried desperately to bury. A night when Hyo-joo had faced a threat so severe that it forced her to disappear from the public eye for several days. A night few people even knew had happened. Night, months ago. Hyo-joo had been followed by an obsessive individual who had breached security, cornering her in a parking structure after a private schedule. Panic echoed in the air. Her manager was minutes away. Security had been misinformed about her route. The cameras in the area had been tampered with. Every second counted. And then he appeared. A man working nearby, trained in crisis response, intervened before anyone else realized what was happening. He neutralized the threat, shielded her, stayed by her side until professional security arrived. Hyo-joo, shaken and trembling, had gripped his arm the entire time. That moment, those seconds of terror intertwined with relief, tied their fates together more tightly than either expected. The agency tried to hide the incident to protect her image. Fans were told she had taken time off due to health reasons. But the truth was far more fragile, and far more human. Because in those hidden days, when she was recovering in silence, he visited. Not as a bodyguard. Not as a hero seeking gratitude. But as someone who couldn't forget the fear in her eyes that night. Conversations began cautiously. Short, soft, uncertain. She was still trembling. He was still haunted by how close she had come to danger. In that small, quiet space away from cameras and scripts, something powerful began to grow. Something she had never allowed herself to feel in the glamorous but lonely world she lived in. He understood her fear without explanation. Trusted him without question. But their relationship was not a fairy tale, it was a minefield. The agency panicked when they discovered the attachment forming between them. They warned her of the consequences, the media frenzy, the threats to her image, the risk of betrayal. They tried to separate them quietly, assigning new staff, rerouting her schedules, monitoring her movements. Yet every attempt only solidified what she felt. She was the only person she could be vulnerable with. And vulnerability, for Hyo-joo, was something sacred. Their meetings moved underground, late-night conversations, silent car rides, hidden messages sent from burner phones to avoid detection. It felt dangerous, reckless, impossible. Neither could step away. Even when she cried. Between love and the crushing pressure of her career, he stayed, standing at the edge of her spotlight without stepping into it. Tension grew. The agency's warnings became demands. Rumors started forming in the shadows, unverified sightings, stray glimpses, suspicious posts. Reporters sniffed around, unable to grasp the full story but certain something was brewing. Then came the breaking point. A month before the announcement, Someone attempted to leak photographs of them together. Grainy, distant, but unmistakably intimate. It was enough to destroy her carefully built image. Enough to spark a scandal that could scar both of them. The agency prepared immediate damage control, telling her they would handle everything. She refused. For the first time in her entire career, Hyo-joo said no. No to hiding. No to lying. No to sacrificing the one person who had ever protected her without expecting anything in return. That night, she made her decision. She would marry him, even if the world burned around her. The midnight announcement that stopped Asia wasn't merely a declaration of love. It was her shield. Her way of stepping in front of him before the media tried to tear him apart. She wanted to reveal the truth on her terms, not theirs. But despite her courage, the backlash exploded instantly. Fans were heartbroken. Some celebrated. Some felt betrayed. Some accused her of hiding too much. Others accused him of not being worthy of her. The noise. One detail stood out, Hyo-joo's unwavering tone. In every statement, every clarification that followed, defended him with a strength no one had ever seen from her before. She wasn't the gentle, quiet actress the public remembered. She was someone transformed. Someone who had chosen her path with absolute clarity. Industry insiders whispered that she had never looked more determined. Close friends revealed she had spent months preparing emotionally for the consequences. And those who had doubted their relationship could no longer deny it after seeing them together in the first official wedding photo, Hyo-joo holding his hand tightly, eyes brighter than anyone had ever seen. She remains in shock. Some continue to speculate. Some demand interviews. Some wait eagerly for her return to the screen. One truth has already reshaped the narrative. Hyo-joo chose a man not from fame, not from wealth, but from a moment of pure humanity. Someone who held her life in his hands and protected it without hesitation. In an industry where so much is fabricated, scripted, and filtered, her story feels almost unreal. A love born not from spotlight, but from survival. Not from glamour, but from raw instinct. Not from fairy tale fantasy. The terrifying edge of reality. And Asia, whether it accepts it or not, will never forget the night Hyo-joo rewrote her destiny. In the end, Hyo-joo's story is no longer just a headline, it has become a defining moment in modern Asian entertainment. A reminder that behind images carefully crafted for the public, behind flawless red carpets and silent smiles, human beings who carry fears, hopes, secrets far heavier than anyone realizes. Decision to step forward, to protect the man who once protected her, has reshaped the way fans view love, privacy, and courage in an unforgiving industry. The world continues to absorb the shock of her unexpected marriage. One thing stands clear, this was not a scandal, nor a stunt, nor a carefully engineered spectacle. It was a woman choosing her truth, choosing her safety, choosing her heart, even when the world watched with disbelief. And perhaps that is why her story struck so deeply. It was raw. It was real. It was hers. Whatever comes next, whether the storm calms or intensifies, Hyo-joo has already proven that she is stronger than the rumors, braver than the expectations, far more human than the public has ever seen. The journey does not end here. In many ways, it has only just begun. Thank you for staying with us through this emotional and unexpected journey. Thank you for reading, for reacting, for feeling every twist and revelation with us. Your support and attention give meaning to every story we uncover, truth we explore, and every moment we bring to light. Please continue to follow us for more compelling narratives, breaking updates, and untold stories that shape the world behind the spotlight. Thank you, and see you in the next report.